a Wednesday. I've been meaning to get to this tape for the last 2 days, but just hadn't gotten around to it. I'm going to start at the beginning when we left Melbourne and try and bring you up to date. I've taken a few notes here, but some of them I can hardly read because I wrote on the airline, and it's kind of jumbled. Anyway, as you well know, we left your place at 5 o'clock in the morning and boarded the plane at 6:45, and we almost missed the plane, as I told you on the phone. We were the last ones on. They said as soon as everyone gets there, they leave. We arrived at Sydney at 8 o'clock in the morning, but the flight to Fiji was delayed until 11 o'clock that same day in the morning. I can't read what I said right there, so it doesn't make any difference, I guess. Anyway, we arrived in Fiji at 5:30 that evening, and we were met at the airport by a person from the Regent. Had no problem at all with customs, cutting it off. As I said, we had no problem with customs. That's, by the way, Howard George on the phone. We went right through. The Regent Hotel is absolutely beautiful. We had a Mai Tai upon arrival, of course. The rooms are just like your friend told us. There were flowers on the pillows, and the room had flowers in it. Of course, we had a very late supper, but there was entertainment going on out around the pool, and we went to one of the smaller restaurants there. We had an American dinner, by the way, fried chicken and fries. Then we saw a Fijian show, which was all native songs and a few dances, and it was real nice. When we got back to the room, of course, the beds were all turned down, and it was lovely. It's a beautiful place. I would recommend anyone going there. On Tuesday, that was Monday, of course, and on Tuesday we had breakfast about 8:30, and we made a booking, as you all call it, for the Jungle Cruise, which left at 1:45 in the afternoon, and that was very nice. So it was on the Boa Boa River, and then they took you up through to the Nande River. And as we got up the river, we stopped at a native plantation, which was hardly what I would call a plantation. It was wild grass and mud hut, and they served us a glass of Kool-Aid. There was only another couple with us, and they were Americans. So we seemed to be hitting it lucky that way. Then we got back to the hotel about 4 o'clock and had some drinks in our room. We ordered ice, and they brought it immediately, which was great, and a great big bucket of it, which was nice to have. When we went out to dinner that night, and when we returned for dinner, I don't remember what we had because I didn't write it down. The beds were all turned down again, and we fell in. We were kind of exhausted. Now we have a booking for dinner in the Steakhouse, which is another restaurant, at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. We're going to watch the torch lighting, which is about 6 o'clock, and it starts right in front of it. Daddy had a steak, but it was too done, of course. Mine was good. We also had a little lobster tail with it, and Mai Tais and rum punch. Bad scotch, though. Johnny Walker Red and Black, that seems to be all they all serve. I believe that Qantas must be owned by the Johnny Walker people, because that's all they served on the airlines, too. Now, tomorrow morning we have a booking at 9:30 a.m. for a shopping trip into town, which lasts till 1 p.m. I'm looking forward to that. Daddy isn't, of course. We do not have a TV over here. Nobody has. But we do have a radio, and that sounds real good. It's all piped-in music, of course, but you can get almost any kind. You can get American, or you can get the Fijian, or whatever you happen to want. So anyway, it's now Wednesday morning, and we had a real good breakfast, and we left for our shopping trip on time at 9:30. Went by it's a cab of sorts, I suppose. We went to a town called Lautaka, Lautaka. It's supposed to be the second largest city in Fiji. There was another different American couple with us this time. They came in by a sailing ship, and they were on their way to Perth for the America's Cup. On the way in, of course, the taxi cab, as you could call it that, had a flat tire. So we pulled over to the side of the road, and he proceeded to fix the flat tire. He put a spare on, of course, and it was as bald as an eagle, and Daddy was quite concerned about that because they drive like maniacs over there. We picked up some T-shirts for the kids, and I got you a little trinket, Carol, that you had asked for, which I will probably put in the next package that I send over with this tape. And we returned back to the hotel about 12:30. Let's see, we came back to the hotel, and then we went out on the beach, and we stayed out there till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Had another wonderful big rum punch drink, and we have a 6:30 booking for dinner. It was very windy today. The waves were rolling in pretty good, but there's no topless over here. You don't see that at all. People here are very kind, very lovely people, bend over backwards to be nice to you. Let's see, what else can I tell you? I wrote on the top here that we had a time change of 2 hours from Melbourne to Fiji. We moved it ahead. Then we had another time change from Fiji to Hawaii. We moved it ahead 2 hours plus the 1 day. I'm getting a little ahead of myself right now, though. Now, as I said, we have a booking for dinner. I'll get back to that. And now we're going to have a real good scotch in our room. And again, there were flowers on the pillows. Dinner was good tonight. We had pork chops and baked potato and a salad bar. That was in the steakhouse restaurant again. We found that to be quite good. I had some more rum punch. And we came back to the room early, and we were both very tired, of course, and we have no problem sleeping over here at all. Air conditioning is excellent, so that helps a lot. The grounds are absolutely gorgeous. It's all very lush and tropical. If you can, you should try and see this place, but be sure and stay at the Regent, because I think we have heard from others that is probably the best place to stay. I'm going to stop this for just a minute. Daddy's off the phone, so I'll get back to you in a second. Well, it's now Thursday, and we slept in this morning, slept till 9:30 or thereabouts. We had a nice but a light breakfast this time. Service here is excellent, and beautiful dining room, or I don't know what they call it, but it's a coffee shop, I suppose, but it's real big. And we sat out on the beach from 10:30 till 3. It's a beautiful day, or it was a beautiful day, and a very soft tropical breeze, and plenty of sun. And I can tell you now, I didn't realize it then, but I got sunburn on my face, because right now my face is peeling, my forehead especially. Now, then we started to get packed, for we had a 6 o'clock checkout time. We were supposed to be out at noon, but we made arrangements for a half a day extra stay, but cost us $60, I think, but it was well worth it, because it was better than sitting at the airport from 12 till 6. We had a 6:30 booking for dinner, and then we were going off to the airport, because we have to check in, as I told you before, 2 hours before the flight time, which is 11 p.m. for Hawaii. We left for the airport about 8 o'clock. We had plenty of time, and the flight left at 11 o'clock, which was very good. As soon as we got on, they served club sandwiches, and that was midnight. So needless to say, we weren't either one hungry and didn't take it. They have plenty of drinks on the plane, of course, as you already know, because Randy told you that. And then again, they served breakfast about between 5:30 and 5:45 on the plane, which we did eat. And we arrived at Honolulu at 7 o'clock. We had a little bit of problem with the luggage, but we got the luggage checked at the airport and then off to the Holiday Inn, and no more problems. We were both exhausted, so we went right to bed, and we slept till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. which we probably needed. That jet lag, I guess, was starting to catch up with us. Then we went down, we got dressed and went down and spent an hour by the pool. And we had another tropical drink. I can't remember what we did have down there.
You had a Mai Tai.
Oh, yeah, Daddy said I had a Mai Tai and he had a screwdriver, I think. Let's see, where did we go for dinner? There's the phone. Stop again. Well, I'm back now. As I said, we had dinner, but we can't either one remember what we ate, and I don't have it written down. But anyway, I suppose it was all right. We had a very lovely room there, and we did turn in early. On Friday, we arrived at the airport at 7:45 and picked up our luggage. And
What airport?
oh, we arrived. Wait a minute, I gotta pause it.
You don't need.
Your father had me confused here. I'm trying to read my notes, and he's telling me something different. We arrived at the airport at 7:45, and we picked up our luggage that we had in the bag, in the storage baggage area. I have to stop again. There goes the phone. Okay. I'm back to you again now. That was Carol Laskowitz on the phone. And she said that you all had called yesterday, and they were glad to talk to you and everything. But she said she was in such a state of sleep, she said she can't even remember what you said. So I didn't really get much out of that conversation, but it was nice to talk to her. And she said the twins are getting big and all that. I'm sure she told you, so I won't go into that. Anyway, as I started to say, we arrived at the airport at 7:45, and we picked up our luggage and had to have it inspected. And for the first time, they opened one suitcase. Why they did that, excuse me, I'll never know, but I think it was one of our little carry-ons, and the only thing he took out of it was the watch case that Daddy had put his old watch in, and I guess that's what showed up on the x-ray thing. Excuse me, there was no problem, no, we went right on through.
That wasn't customs.
Or whatever it was. It wasn't the customs, it was the baggage inspection thing. Now we had to sit and wait, and we had 11:45 departure. As I said before, you have to be at the airport 2 hours ahead of time. That's one of their rules. So as we were getting ready to leave Honolulu,
You don't even know where you are.
we had to go through agricultural inspection thing. So we had to take our luggage all over to another area, and they put these green little tickets on it, but that was all right too. Anyway, then we finally got on the plane, and we had a real good trip home. Arrived in I don't know where I am now. You know what? I think I left out San Francisco, but that's all right. You understand. Anyway, we arrived in St. Louis on time, but we did not land right on time because there was heavy air traffic, and he circled for, 20, 30 minutes maybe. And Ron and Kathy were there to meet us, and they picked us up, and as I told you before, they had other plans to go to a party. Somebody that lived on Wild Oak with them, a coach or something for a football thing, was leaving town. They didn't pick up his contract or something, I don't know. And as we pulled in our driveway, Randy and Cheryl pulled in right in front of us, and we were certainly happy to see them. Ron and Kathy stayed just a few minutes. We didn't see the kids, have not seen them as yet, but Randy and Cheryl hadn't eaten, so the four of us went down to the pit and had some fried chicken, and it was not real good. It was way too done. But I suppose it was close because we didn't get there until about 9:30, and I didn't realize it, but they told us that they do close at 10 o'clock, which was none of us knew. So we sat around for a little while after we came back, and we all turned in about midnight. So the kids were tired too after traveling, all the way down. They had said they saw the Laskowitzes and Howard and Marge, I think. So I'm sure they were glad to see them. Then Sunday morning, we got up not real early, but probably about 7:30. And Randy and Daddy had brains and eggs for breakfast, and Cheryl had some cereal. I don't think I had anything but a cup of coffee. we picked everything up a little bit, and Randy and Cheryl left to go visit her folks. They did not know they were coming, so they didn't seem to want to call, so I left that up to them. Daddy and I headed for the lake. I think it was about 10:30 when we finally got away. We had to stop and get gas and all that good stuff. It was sure good to get back to the lake. Everybody seemed to be very happy to see us. Instead of us walking down, they ran up the dock to meet us. After a little while, Daddy gave them the ties, and I gave the ladies the little koalas, which they dearly loved, and none of them took them home. They said they were all going to leave them on their boats. It was cloudy and a little rainy on the way going down. We stopped in St. James and had our usual ice cream at Ruby's, which was excellent, and they, too, were glad to see us. Said they'd missed us, but they knew that we were on a trip. When we got down to the lake, almost the whole usual crowd was there. None of the young kids were there this week for some reason. Greg and his family weren't there, and Rick and his wife, they were not there. Jack and Dixie Minor were there down at our end, and the Van Tiles and the Browns. The Schulers were not down with their crew, we were lucky for that. Pete and Betty were down, and Anita did not come down, but Pete was there by himself. His daughter was there. What's her name? Carol? Carol was there, yeah. So anyway, they had planned on having chicken, and we had planned on pork steaks, so we, of course, all did everything together and set the table out on the dock. It was not really real warm, but it wasn't uncomfortable because we ate kind of early. There was a birthday party going up at the front end of the dock up by the office up there. It was for Ole. I don't know if you remember Ole or not, but it was his 50th birthday, and I don't know who arranged the party, but they had live music, and wasn't it live? Was it DJ?
DJ.
Oh, okay, but it sounded like live music. But it was a lot of fun, and everybody danced, and they had free beer, and I don't know, just a good time was had by all. Even Jake stayed up a little later than usual, I think. Jean had her mother down, who is from the East and who's been ill.
Sister.
And Jean's sister was there also. But Jean's keeping her mother, as I think I told you, Carol. They're going to take turns keeping her 2 or 3 months out of the year, each child. And this is Jean's turn. But she did beautifully, and Jean looks just like her mother. They had her in a wheelchair, but she said she can get around a little bit, and she seemed to thoroughly enjoy being down there. She's a very, very pleasant person, and real nice to talk to. I'm going to cut this off now, and there's a little bit of news about the marina, and I'll let Daddy get that to you, and then after we get back, I'll get back to you again. Bye for now.
Well, now you have the great pleasure of having me tell you the real stuff. The telephone's ringing. Hold it. Okay, I'm back. That was just Sarah. I'll tell you what she wanted after a while, because I haven't gotten into that subject yet. The marina now is the Mariner Yacht Club and Marina. We have new owners. Casey Brock and his son Scott have sold to a fella by the name of John Brock, who is not related. And it's really not John Brock, it's John Brock's mother who has bought it. But she is married to a man by the name of Ed Schreiner. But Ed Schreiner is not the principal owner. His wife, Betty, and her son John own the marina. And they have great plans for it, as so did Ed McCauley, and so did Casey Brock, and so does the new owners, Betty Schreiner Brock. But anyway, that really doesn't have a whole lot of business. What we were concerned about was that our boat was back in order, and it was. The new potty's there, the new tanks are in, the floors put back, and everything was in order, except that they had just gotten it done the 3 days before we arrived. Irv had told him a week ago, said, you better get going because Jack's going to be back. And they said that they didn't have the parts. Well, the reason they didn't have the parts, they didn't send the money, and we had given them the money before we left. But anyway, I won't go into that. The head and the tanks and everything are back, and everything works beautiful. And your mother said it's the prettiest toilet that she has ever seen.
But it won't pump out.
When we left, we were supposed to push a button and pump it from its own tank. It has an 8 or 9 gallon tank into our holding tank. For some reason, that didn't work. So we told them about it when we left and said we wanted that corrected before Thursday. And they had not put the boot stripe, the paint on the bottom of our boat, which they were to do, but they didn't do it. They did Calvin's, but they didn't do ours. So anyway, that's just about all the news about the marina, except that we got a reception down there that we didn't really think we deserved. Normally we go down there and people wait till we pass their slip and say hello, but even Calvin, can you believe, and Doris and Irv and Teresa and Jake and Jean ran up to the ramp to greet us. So they were hoping we would be there and would have been disappointed if we wouldn't have. So we were glad we went up. And we stayed Sunday night and Monday and came home Tuesday, which is yesterday.
Our gutter's gone.
It rained a little bit Sunday night, and Jake and I were standing there, and I said, Jake, you know, my gutter's running over there on the back. So we walked back there, and the damn thing's gone. There wasn't even a gutter there. And Irv had told me that I had water in the back bilge, and so we pumped it out, and which wasn't a big problem. All I had to do was throw the switch, and either somebody took it and put it on somebody else's side, or else the wind blew it off over the winter. But I'm sure it was there in April when we were back. And your mother agrees that it was. So anyway, it's gone, and they're going to replace that. Now, I don't know who's going to have to pay for that, but then we'll find out. So anyway, everything is real good down there. They got a lot of big plans. They're going to put in a swimming pool, and I don't know what all. Your mother talked to them. I didn't talk to them.
Monday we went up the lake.
We went up to your house on Monday for a little ride. Browns went with us. And just as we were arriving in your cove, Gary and Karen were backing out in the fishing boat. And they were going down to Camelot to visit somebody.
Kids were skiing down there.
Kids were skiing down there, I guess, yeah. And we talked to them a little bit. I took a couple pictures just to make sure that your dock was still floating and your house was still there. I also took a picture of that new house on the left entering your cove, which you probably haven't seen. I don't know who it belongs to, but it's the second one in the cove on the left, and you said it was next door to a person that you knew, and that they had sold their house and either built a new one. But nevertheless, I took a picture of it.
I just want to interject this. Gary mentioned while we were talking to him that they had not finalized any plans as of yet because he had not been feeling good. And I asked what the problem was, and he said he just had a physical because he had been feeling really, really bad, and he didn't want to go out of the country feeling the way he was. He said that the doctors discovered that he's probably right on the brink of being a diabetic. So they have taken all sugars and sweet stuffs and all that stuff away from him, and he said he's been on it a couple of weeks now, this other diet, and he said he's really feeling great again. So he also said that they have gotten all their paperwork completed now, which I'm assuming means passports. I don't know what else paperwork he could be talking about. And that Karen said she's going to get a letter off to you in the near future and tell you exactly when they're going to come.
Okay, I'm glad I'm back on track now. When she's talking to you, I think of things, and when I'm talking to you, she thinks of things. But we did leave Tuesday morning about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and we stopped again at St. James and had an ice cream, and came on in yesterday. Yeah, we're back to normal now. We're not on the trip anymore. We came back in and we did our usual thing. We've got an appointment. We called Schulthauses, and we got an appointment to go there Tuesday morning at 9:30. Well, I'll back up just a little bit. I got an appointment to go to Bethesda tomorrow morning to meet with a lady that's supposedly an expert at insurance claims for elderly people. And I've gotten a whole bunch of bills here from Grandma's last that I think some of them should be either Blue Cross or Medicare because, well, it's quite a whole bunch. So anyway, I have to meet with her tomorrow, and I'll get back to our arrival yesterday afternoon, which wasn't sensational or anything. We didn't take anything out for supper, so I rode down the Wideman Road to Manchester and got us 10 pieces of Kentucky Fried Chicken with slaw and a biscuit, and that's what we had for supper last night because we didn't have anything here. We haven't been to the store.
Still haven't been.
We still haven't been. Let's see, that's last night. We went to bed probably 10 or 10:30, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was 9:30. And everything was fine until 3:30 in the morning. And your mother jumped out of bed, and I woke up, and the house shook, and she thought she heard an explosion, and we looked outside, and a car ran into our house, right up Dutch Mill and into the northeast corner, which would be the Dutch Mill side, but the corner. And he hit the corner, and if he hadn't hit the corner, he'd have come on in, because he didn't even put his brakes on. He fell asleep, evidently. So we had a block party. There was everybody in the neighborhood and 2 blocks away each way up here. They all heard it. Your mother's picture gallery on the inside wall, all of the pictures were disarray. They were all crooked in the living room. It really shook this house. And so we were up for about 2 hours till 4:30, 4:45 before we got back to bed. And it has done some damage to the house. He didn't come inside, but he sure messed his car up. It was a 72 LTD, so Mike will know that that is a heavy automobile. And it caved that sucker in, and if he'd have hit it on his driver's side, he'd have been a dead man. But he hit it on the passenger side. But he hit right at the corner of our house. And luckily, that's the way it happened. He wasn't hurt at all. He was shook up, but he wasn't hurt. Had a little laceration on his nose that was just oozing. It wasn't really bleeding, so he wasn't hurt. He lives over off of Henry Avenue on Cloverleaf Lane. Evidently, he was cutting through to go home. He was 30 years old, and we don't think that he was drunk or anything. The police said, well, he could have had a beer, but he didn't appear to be drunk. But he just evidently fell asleep. Didn't put his brakes on or anything, but the house woke him up. And he missed all trees. He took one shrub with him in the gutter, but he shook loose the gas meter, but it didn't leak. So that was our excitement for last night.
Crack the brick foundation.
We've got a horizontal crack in our foundation, a couple feet above the ground, and we have a vertical crack in the brick corner all the way to the gutter, so we don't know what's to be done about that. On the report, he couldn't remember the name of his insurance company, so I don't know whether that means that he does not have insurance or whether he just couldn't remember. But we do have insurance, but ours is $250 deductible, so it might be a might be the way it goes. I picked up from the last tape, as you know, that side took off.
Insurance people will be here tomorrow.
Insurance people will be here tomorrow. They want to be sure and take care of it. Mike Ewing cut our grass yesterday, and the guy messed up the yard out there on that northeast corner. Today was a busy day because it was the first work day that we've had, and I had to go down to the cleaners and take a whole bunch down there, and while I was going that way, I went down to Clarence's and talked to him. We had a problem with the lawnmower. He has had a problem with the mower, not the tractor part, but the mower. So I evaluated that situation, and I gave him your tie and our tie, and sat there and talked about an hour with him, and he laughed and went on. And then when I left there, I went up to the bank. I went to Bowers, and I talked to him about what we might do with the lawnmower, and got a price for him for a new deck. That's probably what we needed. And he later called me back and gave it to me, so we're going to go that route rather than buy a new mower. We're not going to buy a new mower. Then I had to go out to Baldwin to the bank, and when I got back home about 1:30, your mother said that they took Clarence to the hospital. So he's had another one of those attacks, which I don't know. Hopefully it's not any worse than the last one, but he had a low blood pressure and high heartbeat. And so Dr. Dwyer took him to the hospital, or he didn't take him, but he had him sent to the hospital. And so I was gone, so your mother had called Harold Kay and told him, so he and Margaret went in there. We couldn't get a hold of Al, or she couldn't. And he was just fine. When I left there, we were laughing and going on about Australia and talking to him. I told him about everything that I could in a short time, and we discussed the lawnmower, and I don't think that shook him up. I don't know that anything that I'd said shook him up. But anyway, he is in the hospital tonight. And Harold called us and said they're going to keep him tonight, so we'll know tomorrow. So let me see. Tomorrow is Thursday. Thursday, the plumbers are coming to our house to finish the sprinkling system that they had started and replace a hose connection that we have been complaining about for years.
You're whispering.
What?
I said you're whispering.
Your mother said I'm whispering, and I'm not. So I called them and told them to get back and start where they left off. And I really don't know anything more to tell you. Tonight we're having crappie. Cornbread and corn. So that ought to be enough starch for us for a week. So we'll probably have gas like Mike has sometimes. So I guess I'll let your mother tell you what I said wrong. Here she is. Oh, you don't understand.
No, I don't. I really don't have a whole lot more to say. The young man next door to us, his name is Gary, he has a new puppy. It's a Labrador, golden color, and it's his darling little thing. It's a little female, and her name is, what is it? I've forgotten already. Casey. So anyway, we were introduced to Casey today, and she's really, really cute. Yesterday afternoon or towards evening, I trimmed some of our back bushes here. They had gotten kind of ratty looking, and I intended to do the front ones this morning or this afternoon sometime, but it rained during the night and early this morning, and it was pretty damp, and I didn't want to get out there with that electric trimmer. I figured we had enough bad luck for one week now. We don't need any more at this particular point. I had the young man that put the stateroom in the back of the boat come over. He came over by Monday evening, and we're going to have, I want him to put a light up over our table there up in the front because it's quite dark. They've changed the lighting down on the dock, and we have very, very dim lights on the dock. It's enough, really. Everybody complained about the bright ones, so this is fine. But when it gets to be dark, and down there sometimes we don't get around to eating till 8 or 8:30, and you just can't see in there at all. So he's going to put me a light up over my table. He said it would be cheaper to just install a new one rather than take one from the back stateroom back there, because there's 2 of them back there. But Jack, I take it. I need it, dear. Your father started to fix me a drink, and then he brought my glass back because he thinks I have a half, but it's all water. It's been sitting here for an hour. Anyway, I'll get back to where I was. I'm going to, the first weekend now that we have free that we can be down there, I'm going to order some carpeting, and he informed me that his father, I told you, was with, I think, Midwest Flooring or something. But I don't think I want to go that route because I want to get somebody from down there to do it where, they can come in and measure and get it installed for me. Let me see, what else was I going to tell you? Something else, but I can't think of it right at this particular minute. Our weather here is absolutely beautiful right now. It's about, I don't know, when we went to bed this morning at 5 o'clock or whatever time it was, I think they said it was 65 degrees. And I heard, who's the guy that walks and talks at midnight? I don't know his name. Anyway, he gives the at 4:30 in the morning. He gives the temperature all over the world, and he said Sydney had 65. So I figure your temperature might be about close to ours. I don't know. The rain has stopped here, but it's a little cloudy. But it's nice. It's warm. We have the windows open and the doors open, and real delightful. I talked to Goldie this afternoon, and she said that they're leaving for Florida on June the 9th. They decided to go early this year because it gets so hot in July and August down there. So I guess they'll just be gone a couple of weeks. I don't know. And she was also telling me that Betty's mother, I don't know if you know Mrs. Manning or not, Carol, had a stroke. I haven't even told Daddy this. And it was quite a serious stroke. She can't speak at all. And her right leg and her whole right side is completely paralyzed, but no speech at all. So it's kind of sad. She's at St. Luke's Hospital, and of course that's been keeping Betty. And I think she has a stepsister, an adopted sister or something. She came in from New York, and she's here with Betty now too. So they've got a little bit of a problem there, I suppose. Well, we're hoping that Clarence's situation isn't too serious. As Daddy told you, we're going in to see Sewell's house again Tuesday morning, and we also have we told you about the people that wanted to put that, I don't know what they call it, that road in to get around. Well, that man called us, and he's coming out Tuesday afternoon. He said they're still very interested in the property, so we're going to have to talk to somebody. I don't know if I told you or not, or if Daddy mentioned it, but we had a letter waiting here when we got home, and we did get an extension on the taxes, so I think they gave me 12 months. So that's going to help a great deal. It won't force me to sell something in a great big hurry that I don't want to have to do that. So anyway, I'm sure that everything's going to work out okay, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you all back here again. I don't know, the way Carol Askowitz was talking, that you all are pretty certain that you're not going to be coming home very soon. I don't know if you just didn't want to tell us or what the situation was, but she seemed pretty certain that you were just coming home for Christmas and that was going to be it. So if so, you better let us know, because everybody else is letting us know things. Anyway, I'll get off for now, and we're going to cook some dinner. As Daddy said, we're going to have crappie and corn on the cob, which we carried to the lake and brought back with us, so we're going to eat that up tonight. We haven't been to the grocery store yet. I was telling everybody about how much your mayonnaise is over there, and they said, my God, they wouldn't begin to buy anything like that. So I said, well, if you want it, that's what you got to pay. You know, that's the way it goes. Anyway, I'll get off now. I'm starting to get silly about this stupid thing here. So I've been talking for about, let me see, I guess an hour and a half anyway with all the interruptions. So I'll talk to you. I want to get this in the mail. I want to send that little key back, and I'm sure that we're going to hear from Gretchen. Do you know what's the bad part? We don't even know Gretchen's last name. And that's probably our fault because I'm sure you said it and I just failed to pick up on it. But I'll know if she just says it's Gretchen. I'll know who it is, and we certainly hope that she gets down to visit us with her folks. I'll talk to you a little bit later, maybe even this evening yet. Bye-bye for now. I love you.
Well, we still got a little more than half on this side. We are now finished dinner. We had corn on the cob and cornbread and fresh crappie, which we had caught in April before we came over to see you guys. And it was just as good as if it had just been pulled out of the lake.
I'm not finished, but I'm going to put...
Your mother just said she wasn't finished. I don't know with what, but she wants to watch the Wheel of Fortune. But anyway, I just thought I'd tell you that we had a extra good dinner.
It's going to rain.
And there comes Krabby. She said it's going to rain. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We haven't heard any more from Clarence, so we don't know about him. And if we do, before we finish this tape, we'll be sure and tell you. So, I don't know anything else. I guess I'll knock it off for now, and it looks like we got enough to tell you a few more things tomorrow. And tomorrow is Thursday, and we will be doing some more of our chores, and we'll get back to you. We love you. Goodbye for now. By the way, I forgot to tell you that we've got two of these sheepskins under the coffee table, one under the big chair next to me, and one under my chair, and Grandma doesn't have any under hers.
Well, I'm going to start sitting over there.
So she's going to start sitting in another place. So I just wanted to tell you that they brushed out real good, and they're everything they were expected. So I'll say goodbye now. Goodbye.
Well, good morning. It's now Friday morning, the 30th of May. I just came back from picking up Clarence from the hospital, and he's fine. He said that the doctor told him it was nothing but stress. So that was no big problem. I think he's got a little bit of medication to take, but other than that, nothing at all. He was concerned about the lawnmower and getting it fixed, and about possibly the sale of the property, he told me. And that just got him all upset. So I assured him this morning that he didn't have anything to worry about, that if I had to sell it all and he had to move, we'd find him a place and take care of it for him. So that seemed to put his mind at ease, and I also told him that if for any reason the mower wasn't back by the end of next week when the grass had to be cut, that we'd try and find somebody to come in and cut it. And he said, well, that the Dwyers over there have somebody comes in with a brush hog. And I said, well, would that be satisfactory for the back part? And he said, yeah, that would do till he could get to it. So that seemed to put his mind at ease a little bit. Anyway, that's about all. I think we're going to get ready now and head for the lake. I haven't even talked to Daddy as I just walked in the door, so looks like he's got everything pretty well packed up. It's a beautiful day here today. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's going to get up in the 80s, I understand. But it's really, really nice. We still haven't seen anything of Ron, so I don't know what the situation is there. I had it in my mind that they were going to come by last night, but they didn't. Howard George came by, and Daddy can tell you about that, because at this particular point I have to go to the bathroom. So I love you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
I don't have a whole lot to tell you about Howard George. He's the same old bull shipper that he always has been. He said that rock was all right. He said, but I've got one just like it, except this is a little bigger. He didn't really seem too impressed, but I'm sure maybe he just didn't show it. And he wet the rock and saw that it changed colors. In other words, the gray turned to black when it was shiny, and I don't know what that meant. But anyway, I asked him where my tomatoes were. I didn't see them in that barrel out there. You know, he promised me some tomatoes. He said, you don't need any tomatoes. He said, I've got 18 plants. He said, you stop anytime you want to. Well, now, you can see me stopping down there and saying, I want some tomatoes, can't you? No way. So anyway, that shoots the tomato patch, I guess. I guess I'll buy my own like I did last year. It's a little late, but that's all right. Well, anyway, I'm glad Clarence is back and feeling better. And if we've got any more room on this tape, it doesn't look like we're going to finish it before we go to the lake, but if we've got any more room on it Tuesday, well, we'll tell you what happened at the lawyer's office. Otherwise, we'll start another one. So I'm going to say goodbye now. Goodbye.
Well, I'm now talking to you from the car. We've just gone past Baxter Road and headed up towards the lake. We have to stop up and I guess it's Ellisville and get gas, where we usually do. There's not a whole lot changed in here. Daddy was telling me that the walls are all up over at the new Schnook store at Clayton and 141. So I guess that'll be opening before too much longer. As we go up through Baldwin, that Peaches is no longer there. It's still a record place, but it's got a new name on it. I think it's called New Sound or Great Sounds or something like that. That's recently changed hands. I guess that's been a couple months ago, though. I thought this might be a good opportunity just to talk and tell you what changes are going on, because as we pass by, I forget by the time I get back home. Nothing else right now that I can see. We're going by the Baldwin Fire Department right now.
It hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't changed, Daddy said. Everything is just the same. Coach House is still here. Charlotte's Rib is still here. Flanagan Paints is still here. Lion's Choice, Baldwin Furniture, Red Lobster. Looks like Red Lobster's got a new sign to me. Yeah, they sure have. It's a nice sign. It looks real pretty. But other than that, everything's about the same. There's a new place here called Frazel Tire and Auto Center, which was right next door to the mobile station. Was that, Jack? Right. Mobile station, which is now torn down. It's absolutely flat. It says coming soon, all self-service gasoline with a snack shop. So that thing is completely gone. They're working in there right now. Of course, Old Target still looks the same. Nothing's changed there. And everything else in front of it's the same. What else is new here? Nothing that I can see right now.
Don't leave it running.
No, I shouldn't leave it run, as he says. So I'll cut it off for just a minute, and if I see something new that's happened. Oh, I don't know if this happened before you left or not, but Essen Chevrolet is no longer Essen Chevrolet. It's Elko Chevrolet. So I suppose Don Essen sold out. Nothing.
It might still be Essen.
Well, it might be, but it says ELCO Chevrolet now, so that's a new name in town anyway. I don't know anything else. So, well, that's right. They may have just changed the name, as Daddy said. A lot of stations have closed up, and we've got a lot of new Texaco stations with a little food mart behind them. There's a brand new one right next to that Delights of America. I know that was here when you were home yet. Schrader Drugs have closed up. That is no more. And the 905s, they're sure going downhill. I don't know what's going to happen to that, but it looks like they might close soon. I don't know. It's not. It isn't anymore. It's an auto store of some sort. Western Auto. Yeah, I didn't know that was closed. That must have just happened. And the Schrader Drug Building, that's empty. There's nothing in there. It doesn't look like to me. We're now going by Baldwin Plaza, and we just noticed that 905 is way back in the corner, Carol. Almost back there where we took that jazzercise or exercise class at that one time. And that Peaches is now called Sound Warehouse. So that's a new name on that. We're now sitting at the Shell station here at Clarkson and Manchester Road. Daddy's getting gas. I also noticed that the Ellisville Theater is closed, and they're carting things out of there, so I guess that's going to be gone soon. There's sure been a lot of changes around here. I don't know if I told you earlier or not that Harold and Sarah stopped by the other night and told us that they're having a surprise birthday party for Aunt Marguerite. It's her 80th birthday. And it's going to be June the 6th. I think that is her birth date. So I told Daddy we're going to have to go, so we'll probably go down to the lake on Saturday. I don't imagine that Friday night will be a late night, so we'll just get up early and head on down. Irv Brown called yesterday and said they would not be at the lake this weekend. There were some birthdays in the family that they had to attend to, so I guess certain things come up at times. We also got an invite from, not an invite, an announcement from Mike Ewing on his graduation, which we're not going to attend, but Daddy went up to the bank and got one of those fancy checks, and I put it in the mail to him already. So that's taken care of, and I also gave him your package that you sent in the card. I have not contacted Georgina's yet, but I will do that Tuesday when we get back. We have to go out to the smokehouse, so I thought, well, I'll try and tell her and arrange to drop it off at her house on our way out, because that's not too far out of the way for us. And your friend Midge talked to her, and she called and said that she was glad we were back and wanted to know how everybody was over there. And she said she would contact me next week and come by and pick up the sweater. So she was very pleased that you had gotten it and said that she would take care of sending you the money right away. So that's all for now. I'm sure you're hearing a lot of background noises here because this is quite a busy intersection, so I'll cut it off and maybe pick up a little more on the way on out to the lake. Well, good morning again, family. It is now Monday morning, and we have returned from the lake. We were going to stay and come home today, but it was so terribly hot yesterday, we decided to come on in. So we got home, I guess, about 5 o'clock and fixed us a little supper and watched the Tony Awards, but that was about all. It was an uneventful evening. Stopped at Ruby's on our way home and had an ice cream, and the lake was just beautiful this weekend. Again, we took a real long ride. We went all the way up past Bridal Cave up to Lake Park to see if we could locate Otto and Audrey, but of course we didn't find them, and we circled around there a few times, so I'm sure if they'd been there they would have seen us. We saw one condo that had a big bell on the front porch, and I kind of assumed maybe that was theirs. If it was, all the shades were drawn, and so that meant no one was there. I don't have a whole lot left on this tape, but I wanted to finish it up so we can get it up to the mail today and get it posted to you. We talked to Randy last night. He and Cheryl are just fine, and they said, too, that it's so terribly hot. It was up in the 90s here yesterday and very humid. This morning we've had a cool spell come through, and it's 56, I think they said. Anyway, Randy had asked us about the refrigerator on Nanny's back porch, and I mentioned it to Clarence, and Clarence said, well, he was going to ask me if he shouldn't unplug it because he doesn't need it. So that's going to work out just fine. It's the front of it has to be painted, but Randy said he'd see that was taken care of. So he was thrilled to death to get the refrigerator because they did not have one. I don't know when they're going to get it. I imagine his friend Paul will help him with it whenever they have their closing. He can't get it until, of course, he has some place to put it. Excuse me. We were hoping that we called the man on the shrubs before we left, and he had promised us he'd be here like Saturday morning. Well, needless to say, he didn't show up, so the shrubs are still laying in the yard. So we're hoping maybe we'll hear from him today, but it's doubtful. That you know who we're talking about, that George McDonald, and he's not very speedy or reliable, I don't think. But anyway, I guess it'll get done sometime. And, of course, naturally, the grass needs cutting again. I guess Mike will be here sometime this week. Anyway, we rode up, as I said, way up. Gene and Jake and Gene's mother went with us, and it was really a delightful trip. We kind of circled around a little bit and looked in your cove. I don't think anybody was down, but everything looks just fine back there. The lake is absolutely beautiful this time of the year. Everything is so green and lush, and the lake is up. It's there's a lot of debris floating in, but I guess that's to be expected. I've just stopped and put a load of wash in, and I'm going to do one load anyway and then get myself dressed, and I'm run up to Famous and see what I can pick out for Aunt Marguerite's birthday. I haven't called Georgine yet. I'm going to do that because probably Wednesday we will go out to the smokehouse. We haven't been out yet. And I thought I'd tell her if she's going to be home, we'll just come by her house and drop that package off, because that way she won't keep us from going someplace, and it'll be on the way out there anyway. Oh, I can't think of anything else to tell you right now. I don't know if Daddy's got anything he wants to say or not. He's shaking his head no. But I do want to finish this up, so if I stop it before the time is up, why, you'll know why. And I'm going to enclose your little trinket that I got you from Fiji. I picked up Sheila a T-shirt, but I'll leave it here because by the time I'd get it over there to her, why, she'd be probably started home. We haven't heard a word from Gretchen, so I'm assuming that maybe she's already gone back over to Australia. I don't remember how long she was going to be in town. So that's about all. We had a little bit of a water problem again with the boat, but they assured us they would fix us. A man came to measure for the carpeting yesterday. He's going to give us a figure on it, so that's when we discovered we had some more water in the bottom of the boat. I went up and told Scott he's still there, even though we do have new owners, and I told the new owner also, but Scott said, well, I guess they forgot to tighten something. Just, lackadaisical, what difference does it make, We'll just do it again and charge you some more hours. But there is quite a bit of water down where the tanks sit, and apparently it had splashed up and gotten into the carpeting in the cuddy cabin. So anyway, I'm just glad we had the man come down, because I hadn't been back in the cuddy cabin. I wouldn't have even known that it was wet back in there. So that was a blessing in disguise. I'm going to cut this off now and say goodbye for now. We love you and all that good stuff. We're thinking about you and wondering about your ski trip. I can't quite remember when you were supposed to be doing all that, but I don't think it's till July. But if it is now, I have fun and don't break a leg or any of that good stuff. I don't think you will, Carol, because you said you weren't going to go anyway. I mean, you weren't going to ski. But you'll have fun just being there with all the crowd and doing things together. I'm going to stop, as I said before, because I have to get dressed. I'm not even dressed yet, and it's 8:45 already. We had nice breakfast. Daddy fixed pancakes and bacon, of course, and that always tastes good, and it tastes better when he fixes it anyway. You know how I hate to cook. Tonight we're going to do some pork steaks. We took some down to the lake and didn't fix them. So we're going to have those tonight for dinner, and I don't know, I'll maybe fix some spaghetti or some macaroni and cheese, something like that. I'll cut it off for now, and I'm sure going to finish this today because I do want to get it in the mail. Bye-bye. Just as a little something to fill up this tape, we're going to enclose a picture of the car that hit the house. And I'm addressing the envelope right now. We're getting ready to go or Daddy's going to go up to the post office and get this stuff in the mail. You know that book we bought for Jack Cardell? I haven't mailed that yet, so we're going to take care of that this morning. And tomorrow morning, of course, we have a very busy day. We've got the lawn people coming at 8 o'clock in the morning on the sprinklers, and we have to be in Clayton at 9:30 to see Sulthouse or Ken Hand. And tomorrow afternoon, Daddy's getting a haircut at 1 o'clock, and another man's coming here to talk to us about the property down on Manchester Road at 2 o'clock. So as you see, tomorrow is very, very busy. So whatever running around we have to do it today.